Well, it's the most important game in the NHL. It's so important that the league made Edmonton switch to Toronto's permanent Saturday time slot. I'm kidding. We get you set for the Oilers and Maple Leafs on the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame show. Good evening, everybody. Hope you're doing well. Welcome to the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame show. Tom Gazzola with you inside the EST Satellite Studios. Hernan, Salas back at EST Global HQ. Matt Cassian will be joining us in a little bit to give us game changers, get us set for what should be a pretty exciting game down at Rogers Place this evening. And we'll also be joined by our Hello Hockey insider from the fourth period, David Pagnotta. Pags will be stopping by in about 6 or 7 minutes time. Of course, you could text us 780-218-9999. Get to the nasty chat if you're watching on YouTube. Like, share, subscribe. And then we want to see people subscribe to our individual show podcasts as well. Wherever you get your podcasts, we take all of our shows at this station, we cut them up, the producers do, and put them out there to every podcast platform as well. And we just want to make sure everybody is getting those so they're not missing any of our fine programs here on EST. Of course, this show brought to you by GCL Diesel, providers of the best diesel engine components around, from turbochargers to ejectors, fuel pumps to sensors. They are the critical engine component experts, proud to serve Edmonton and Northern Alberta for over 50 years. Hernan, the Latino Heat Salas, how are you, my friend?
Good, man. A little cold. I was driving through Rogers on the way here, and there's a good vibe. A lot of Leafs jerseys walking, getting some food before the game. Saw a lot of Oiler jerseys. So there's a good vibe in the city. It is freezing outside, so stay warm out there. But looking forward to this game. Should be a great one. It's always fun when the Leafs and Oilers get together. The Oilers are closing out their homestand. Pretty good so far, but Tom, if you thought they were angry Thursday, they better win tonight, because if not, it's going to be an interesting post-game show. So we'll see what happens tonight down at Rogers Place. And funny you brought up
Go ahead.
Oh, no, so it's funny you brought up Connor. He just, I find him so, he's got an attitude now. Like yesterday with the question about playing with Crosby. Guys, just know I'm excited to play with Crosby. Stop asking.
Yeah.
And then the whole thing about, we have to play at Toronto's time because, they're the Toronto Maple Leafs. I thought it was hilarious. I love kind of pissy Connor McDavid. He makes me laugh.
I think, you know what? He was getting mad leading up to the suspension. He didn't like 3 games, obviously. This is him just kind of, having an opinion and letting it be known. Especially after the league, slapped him with that 3-gamer, which I don't think anyone really agreed with the length of it, Connor included. So I don't mind it either. You know what, Hernan? Good for him. I think he's more than deserved and earned that right to speak his mind, and people will listen every time he speaks, and rightly so. And he, you know what, we're so used to when Toronto comes to town, especially on a Saturday, them forcing the Oilers or, the national game being at 5:00 here, that everybody here has to adjust. It is kind of nice to hear a kid from Toronto who grew up a Leafs fan be like, well, sure, we have to play their time. I think it's great. Me too. It's very, very funny. Get into the inbox. What say you? Do you like the 5:00 start? Do you like it more than all these 2:00 starts we've been dealing with? Do you like it more than the 8:00 start? You tell us. I feel like Hernan's onto something, because there were a bunch of Leafs fans out and about yesterday in and around the arena too. And I saw them wearing their jerseys, hats, hoodies, because it is cold, and it was getting colder and colder last night. How about this guy? So I went for dinner with Derek Van Diest from NHL.com and our good friend Larry Ring, and then I had to go to hockey. As I was leaving the restaurant I was at, more of a pub really, not Kelly's, by the way, and this guy walks by as I'm doing up my coat because it's getting cold and I have to walk to my condo before I have to leave for hockey, and he just goes, "It's not cold out there." Maybe weighed 110 pounds. He's got like a button-up T-shirt. And he's all scraggly, and he's firing up a dart before he even gets outside the building. One of those guys, probably well lubricated at that point in terms of beveraginos. And you know what I did? Instead of just saying anything, Hernan, I'm at the point now where Maybe he was a Leafs fan too. Who knows?
Who knows?
Didn't sound like he was from around here. Also, I'm at the point where I looked at him and I looked away and I just walked by. And I'm like, you're dumb. I hope you didn't get sick, guy.
Sometimes it's better to just silence is something sometimes a lot better than just, chirping back, right? So good on you.
Oh, I had a few in the barrel ready to go for him, trust me. Nat, so do we have a question of the evening for everyone?
We do, and it's not Oilers related, because I didn't want to be like, do you think the Oilers... Yesterday, Tom, for the second Friday in a row, we got some fireworks in the NHL. JT Miller heads to the Rangers, and then they flip that first pick and get Marcus Pettersson. JT Miller has 2 goals today already. What a pickup.
Shocking.
He's a hell of a player.
He is.
But I want to ask Oiler fans this, because they've become kind of the top rival with the Vegas Golden Knights of the Edmonton Oilers. So I want to ask Oiler fans, Oiler fans, and be objective. Don't put the Oiler colors on for...
Good luck.
Did the Vancouver Canucks get better with both transactions yesterday? Because I think they took a hit with the Miller trade, but I like the Marcus Pettersson pickup, Tom. So what say you? I know you guys discussed it on Hello Hockey, but just in case anyone missed it, what do you think about, it's at Hedel? That's how you say it?
Hedel, yep.
Oh, look at that.
Looks like Cheadle, but it's pronounced Hedel.
Drew O'Connor, a good bottom 6 guy, and then Marcus Pettersson. And Oiler fans lost their mind at that trade.
Why?
They were like, why didn't the Oilers get Pettersson and O'Connor? I don't know why, but that's why I want to ask right now. So I'll get your thoughts first.
They were also sad that they didn't get Saad. They want everybody. They just got Klingberg. We said it today on Hello Hockey because Belsey brought it up too. He's like, Oiler fans, settle down. You just got John Klingberg. And we had some texts in the show this afternoon saying, when is this management going to do anything to address this roster? And Belsey goes, hey, remember that guy that just made his Oiler debut that a few teams wanted to sign, John Klingberg? Remember that? I guess that's doing something. They picked up a guy. So did the Canucks get better with the trades that they made last night? Hernan, that is the question of the night. Yes, absolutely. And I think the most important thing is that there's more cohesion in the locker room now that one of the problems is gone. Whether it should have been Pettersson that should have been traded or it should have been Miller that got traded and is now a New York Ranger, one of the problems is gone. So automatically your team should have more cohesion. That room should be a better place. So that helps. That makes you better. Then they add a good defenseman in Marcus Pettersson. And let's not kid ourselves, Oil Country included. You didn't give 2 craps about Marcus Pettersson or know anything about him until his name started getting mentioned in trade talk. Mm-hmm. Not once did I see anybody text in last year and be like, you know who the Oilers should probably look at? Or you know who's a really good defenseman? Marcus Pettersson in Pittsburgh. Not once did a single Oiler fan say they should go out and get him until it was mentioned by one of the insiders that Marcus Pettersson could be available, which I think started early this season.
And the funny one to me was, Drew O'Connor. He's got 6 goals. He's a minus 14. Sure, okay, you could bring him on, but is he better than what the Oilers have in their bottom 6 right now? We need to pump the brakes. And the wise words of Reed Wilkins, this team is tops in a lot of categories. They're 3rd best team in the NHL. What else do we want? And I get it, Tom. You always want to upgrade.
Yes,
and I understand that. And they still have the deadline to do that. And they probably still will. But let's pump the brakes. Rantanen wasn't coming here. JT Miller wasn't coming here. Marcus Pettersson, sure. I can get that one. He's a good defenseman. He's better than Vinny Desharnais. That makes Vancouver's defense a lot better. And I understand the frustration with that one. But we need to pump the brakes. The Oilers got John Klingberg, pretty cheap. See if he works out, and if not, they'll make a move at the deadline. But Oiler fans, we can't be in on every trade, and I find it, I just find it comical. People were losing their minds, Tom, yesterday with that trade. It blew my mind. The Oilers are fine. They're a hell of a hockey team.
Hey, they're 3rd in the NHL today, Hernan.
Yes,
not bad.
They don't need a major shakeup here, man. They're not the Vancouver Canucks. They're not.
I will add to this one little thing here before we get into starting lineups. The St. Louis Blues cut bait with Brandon Saad.
Yes.
there were links to Brandon Saad coming to Edmonton. Obviously, Stan Bowman picked him up twice in Chicago. His name has been discussed earlier in the year among Oilers hockey executives. However, he finds himself a deal with the Vegas Golden Knights. And don't get me wrong, I think he'll be just fine and slide in and do well in Vegas. I think he would have here. They'd have to find a way to wedge him in, obviously. But Brandon Saad has 7 goals and 9 assists in 43 games this year. He is +6. Or no, he's -14 with 6 penalty minutes. He was healthy scratched. And all 7 of those goals, Hernan, were scored in 3 games.
Yes. The Oilers, sure, if they would have got Brandon Saad, I would have been like, okay, let's see what happens. Is he an upgrade on Podkolzin? Maybe offensively. But I'm not losing sleep over this. Like, we need to pump the brakes here. Like, the Oilers are not an 8th place team. They're not struggling. Yeah, they lost in overtime to Detroit. Sorry, a shootout. So did so did Vegas that night to Columbus. Like, we need to pump the brakes. The Oilers can't be in on every single player. And again, Tom, the Oilers at the deadline are not creating an enormous shakeup. They're not. That's the reality. If they do, I'll be floored, and I'll eat my words here on the air. But they're like, they got their top players are good. They're fine. Yeah, they're going to add pieces here and there, maybe 1 or 2.
I feel like you're airing grievances a little bit, and I like it.
I just find like the overreaction over Marcus Pettersson and Drew O'Connor. Like, really?
But Drew O'Connor scored against the Oilers, so there's that.
Like, it's unreal, man. Like, it's truly unreal. I sent the link to Dave there, Tom. He still hasn't logged in, so. Yeah,
he says his email's not loading. Just give him a call if you want. We'll get him on the phone.
Okay.
All right. 780-218-9999. Get into the inbox. And then, of course, Nasty Chat, do your thing. If you're just joining us, the question of the night is, did the Vancouver Canucks get better by trading JT Miller to the Rangers, picking up Drew O'Connor, Marcus Pettersson, and Philip Hedl? What say you? And that led to a rant about Oilers and Oil Country freaking out that the Oilers do not pick up every single player that becomes available. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it very much. Hontoria Momes texted and said, absolutely not. The Canucks did not get better. Miller was pretty scary in the playoffs. Now they don't have him, and their superstar now has proven to be Sharman. That's a reference to Elias Pettersson. Troll says, Canucks got rid of their best player, heart and soul of the team, and was their only star who shows up in the playoffs when it counts. Good luck to them winning with 2 of the softest guys in the league as their leadership core. And then Jeffy chiming in says, it seems there's a mini trade deadline before the Four Nations. Will Bowman get in on the trade action early or still go low-cost acquisition hunting? Enjoying the show, as always, gents. Jeffy, I'm not sure. I'm sure what I do know is that if there's somebody out there that they want to pounce on, they probably would. Actually, we should ask David Pagnotta when he joins us for this Oilers Maple Leafs matchup. As we get David ready to go, I will get into the starting lineups brought to you by South Fort Chev. Reserve your 2025 Equinox tracks and Traverse now. They won't last long. They've also got the best discounts on 2025 Silverados and won't be beat. See dealer for details at www.southfortchev.com. For the Oilers, this is how they skated at practice yesterday. No morning skate today, obviously, with the early start. McDavid between Draisaitl and Perry. Nugent Hopkins with Arvidsson and Hyman. Henrique between Podkolzin and Brown. Janmark centering Skinner and Kapanen. So different look there for the forward unit. And then on defense, you had Ekholm with Bouchard, Nurse with Klingberg, Kulak with Emerson. That's what we expect. Ekholm and Klingberg did not skate. Both of them very ill. Very ill. I had to wash my hands after we did the Ekholm scrum the other day because I'm like, I'm going to get sick. Out for the Oilers, Noah Philp and Troy Stetcher. As for the Maple Leafs, here's what we're anticipating. Austin Matthews between Matthew Nyes and Mitch Marner. John Tavares between Max Pacioretty and William Nylander. Max Domi centering Bobby McMahon and Nick Robertson. David Kampf between Pontus Holmberg and Steven Lorentz. On defense for Tirana, Jake McCabe with Chris Tanev, Morgan Riley with Oliver Ekman-Larsson, Simon Benoit with Connor Timmins. It's expected Fraser Minton is out. Our anticipated starting netminders for the Oilers, 26-year-old Stu Skinner. 19-11-4 is his record, 266 goals against average, 903 save percentage, 2 shutouts in 34 games for Skinner. The 26-year-old is 2-2-1 with a 410 GAA, 861 save percentage in 5 games against Toronto over the course of his 2.5-year NHL career. At the other end of the rink, we're anticipating 26-year-old Joseph Woll getting the start. 17-10 is his record. 264 is his goals against average. 908 is his save percentage. 1 shutout in 27 games this season. If Woll is indeed the starter because Matt Murray is the backup tonight, it will be the first time he faces Edmonton in his career. And finally, before we get to Dave Pagnotta, we need to get to the Advantage Sports Medicine and Physiotherapy injury report. At Advantage Sports Medicine and Physiotherapy, we treat you like the pros. Our multidisciplinary team includes sports medicine physicians, along with highly skilled physiotherapists, strength and conditioning coaches, and massage therapists. If you have a nagging injury or a nagging pain and you'd like to see it go away, book your consultation today at www.advantagesportsmed.ca. Go check them out. All right, for the Oilers, Alec Regula, IR knee. Evander Kane, LTIR, abdominal surgery and knee surgery. Did start skating this week. He made sure to post it on his social media. How convenient. And then also added that he's doing some kind of subscription content as well. For the Maple Leafs, Connor Dewar, IR, upper body. Anthony Stolarz, IR, lower body. Former Oiler, by the way. Yanni Hakanpää, IR, lower body. And Kalle Järnkrok, IR, hernia. There you go. There's your Advantage Sports Medicine and Physiotherapy injury report. Go check them out at advantagesportsmed.ca. If you want to get rid of some nagging pain, they treat you like the pros. All right, he's our good friend. He's our Hello Hockey insider. He is my paisan, David Pagnotta from the fourth period. Dave, before we dive into this Maple Leafs-Oilers matchup, Jeffy had texted in to the inbox, 780-218-9999, that it seems there's a mini trade deadline before the Four Nations. Will Stan Bowman get in on the trade action early or still go low-cost acquisition hunting? And Jeffy added that he enjoys the show, as always. Gents, Pags, you're the right guy to ask. And so do we have Dave?
Yeah, we should. Give me a sec here. Okay.
Okay. All right. Keep those texts coming in, 780-218-9999. I'll get to more text messages. Dazzler texting in says, I have no clue if the Canucks got better or not. Let's not waste much oxygen on this discussion. Oh, Dave sounds like Star Wars. You're going to need to reconnect him there, Paisan. He's got the low voice going. Can you do that, Hernan?
Yeah, I'm working on it.
All right, we're going to get Dave here. We're getting the board all sorted out. There was some technical stuff with that board earlier in the day. Benny Thompson did a great job on getting it all fixed up. Juan says, good evening, boys. Who puts Oilers versus Leafs on the same day as Royal Rumble? It's going to be a long night. Juan? Mix in the water, my friend. Let's take a look at what's going on at the Nasty Chat Barbershop window. Chiming in says McDavid is going to shoot the puck 100% more today. Real life McDonald's commercial. Going up against Austin Matthews. Yes, they're recreating the Michael Jordan, Larry Bird commercials of yesteryear. All right. Hernan, let me know when Dave's good to go. One of 9 games on the schedule today. Let's get you up to speed on what has been going on around the NHL. The Blackhawks fall 5-1 to the Florida Panthers in Fort Lauderdale, or Sunrise, I should say. Right now, the Boston Bruins lead the New York Rangers 6-3. 10 seconds left in the third. I'm watching it here on the studio TV. And then we've got Ottawa hosting Minnesota. Tampa gets the Islanders. Pittsburgh welcomes in Nashville. Washington and Winnipeg, a battle of the top 2 teams in the NHL. The Carolina Hurricanes face the LA Kings. Of course, Toronto visits Edmonton. And then the night wraps up with Detroit at the Saddle Dome against Calgary. All right, let's go to Pagnotta. David, are you there? Is our phone and board working?
I hope so. I'm here.
Oh,
How do I sound?
yes. Nice and crisp, my friend. Nice and crisp. I like it.
Lovely.
Okay, we're going to start with Jeffy's text because I said this one I'm going to save for Dave.
Yes.
Jeffy says, it seems there's a mini trade deadline before the Four Nations. Will Stan Bowman, get in on the trade action early or still go low-cost acquisition hunting? And Jeffy enjoys the show, as always.
Well, Stan Bowman's looking like everyone else. The Oilers still have to get a proper understanding of what is happening with Evander Kane.
Right.
Yes, he hit the ice. Yes, he's selling subscriptions, which no surprise, I guess.
Yeah. I said the same thing.
Yeah. They need to know if he's coming back in the regular season or not. And if he isn't, then they can utilize that LTIR space. If he is, they need to have enough space to get him into the lineup. So it complicates things.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, Stan and a lot of other managers out there are looking to see how they can improve their club. Teams want to get their business done early because of, you want to get acclimated. You want to give everybody enough time because of the 2-week break in the NHL, even though Granlund's going to be part of Finland.
Right.
At the Four Nations. But, a lot of other teams are going to continue to look. And, we had the one deal today. We had the 2 deals last night. I'm sure there are going to be other teams that are looking, saying, all right, well, JT Miller's off the market. Mikael Granlund's out of there. Cody Cece's out of there. Marcus Pettersson, Drew O'Connor, they're out.
Mm-hmm.
We want we want a depth defenseman. Who do we pluck? We want a top 6 guy. Who else is available? So that might escalate things between now and Four Nations, and then reignite afterwards, the 10 days leading up to the deadline.
Dave, the question of the night via Hernan Salas going into this game was, did the Canucks get better with the trades that they made yesterday? I said yes, because of the alleviated stress in the locker room, and then they added some decent players too. How do you look at it?
They got better on defense. You add obviously Marcus Pettersson to the back end. Vancouver had been looking since November for a top 4 defenseman. They checked that box. They add Drew O'Connor, strong add to a bottom 6. So that's a plus. But they lost a lot in JT Miller. And yes, he wasn't having the same type of season offensively, but matchup wise, other teams still have to pay attention to this guy.
Right.
So you lose that. You hope that Philip Hedl is healthy. And if he is, you solidify your 2C position and you go from there. But Vancouver will continue to look, even outside of the Elias Pettersson talks, which now they can kind of pump the brakes on a little bit unless somebody really overpays. But they're going to look to add another scorer for their second line between now and the deadline. They're not going to be done, especially if they're in the thick of things in the wildcard race.
Yeah, they're looking to stay alive there. All right, David Pagnotta with us from the 4th period. He's also our Hello Hockey insider. Great stuff from Dave earlier in the day on Hello Hockey. Check it out if you haven't had a chance yet. Let's talk about this Maple Leafs-Oilers matchup. Toronto comes to town, Dave, to kick off a 4-game Western Canadian road swing. Or not Western Canadian, I should say Pacific Division, because they do play Seattle in there. Yeah, exactly. And they come in with a 3-game losing streak. And in your opinion, from what you've seen, what has led to this recent slide for the Leafs?
The lack of depth because of injury. John Tavares comes back tonight, as you mentioned earlier. Matthew Nyes too. So it deepens the quality of their depth is increased significantly with these guys back in the lineup. And they were a little bit depleted depth-wise. And when you lose certain pieces, you focus so much on the Matthews, the Marners, the Nylanders. You defend differently and a little more aggressively against them. And, it makes things a little more difficult, certainly life more difficult for them. So now you get those 2 guys back in the lineup. Let's see how this team can produce with a near full roster in place. But that's for the most part, they had their little dip because of mostly the lack of quality depth in that lineup.
Dave, Craig Berube takes over behind the bench. I know that they added some players in free agency. They still have a lot of great players on this team that are guys that they drafted and developed, obviously. But how much has Craig Berube changed this Leafs team's identity, do you think?
Well, it's a combo. It's a combo of what he's brought in, and it's a combo of some of the players that they brought in. Bringing in Chris Tanev and Oliver Ekman-Larsson to stabilize that back end has been huge. Mm-hmm. To bring in someone like a Steven Lorentz up front, even Alex Stolarz, even though he's hurt, but just having him in the room, he's a character type guy. He's a glue guy in the room. So adding those elements, a couple other pieces, and then implementing the system and structure that Berube brings has definitely changed the narrative of this team. They, especially in the first half of the season, they didn't have to be all gung-ho offensive. And they weren't. There was a lot of attention to detail. They were more physical. They were more responsible defensively. And that's kind of where their messaging was internally. And then, eventually let the offense flow. So we'll see kind of where things kind of go here in the final 30 games of the season. But this has been a lot more of a quote-unquote professional lineup in the way that they've kind of, I guess, just handled their demeanor this season. It hasn't had to be, let's just focus on offense and try to outscore the opposition. It's been a lot more responsible hockey.
With that professionalism, different voice, attitude behind the bench, some excellent NHL players already on this roster, the added talent that this team brought in. Is there anything else Brad Treliving would like to inject this team with going into the deadline? What could make them a true contender if they aren't already?
They need to address two areas. They need to get a third-line center, and they need either a second-line center or a second-line left winger.
Ooh. And
then you keep Tavares at the dot.
Right.
But, I mean, if they're going to prioritize, obviously you go for the second-line guy. But that's what Tree would like to add. That's what the Leafs are looking for. Granlund was a guy kind of on their target list. So now where do you obviously, I mean, there were other teams obviously in the mix, but from Toronto's perspective, you pivot a little bit. The Islanders aren't ready to part ways with a guy like Brock Nelson yet. So that's obviously part of things. But until that happens, they got to divert and throw some attention elsewhere. But, if you're looking at one or two areas, those are the two that have kind of been prioritized for them. They've got a deep blue line. You obviously can never have too little on your D, but I think if they got to pinpoint something, it would be certainly up front in their mid-six.
Dave Pagnotta with us as we get you set for the Oilers and Maple Leafs here on the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame show. Second and final meeting between these two clubs this season. The Leafs getting the better of the Oilers in Toronto on November 16th by a final score of 4-3. Toronto just 3 wins in the last 6. 3 wins, I should say, in the last 9. And in these last 3 games, Dave, they've only scored 3 goals. I know you mentioned the injuries. They get a couple of huge pieces back tonight in Nyes and Matthews. And is this a game, dare I say it, that's going to be Tavares, not Matthews. Thank you. Is this a game that's going to be wide open, high scoring, or are we going to see a low scoring, low event, boring evening game that the Oilers had to change to Toronto's usual start time, as Connor McDavid pointed out? You like that?
Yeah, that was good. It was good.
Thank you.
I think we'll be in the middle. I think this is going to be. I don't think super. I mean, I might take the under in the first period before things kind of let out a little bit.
Okay.
I'm not expecting, goals on goals on goals, But I do think that because, again, Toronto's attention to detail, being more responsible defensively overall, they're going to want to try to contain the pace of play, at least in the first half of this game, before allowing their offensive guys to go. Now, they get a couple power plays, a couple, odd man rushes. Obviously, a lot of that's circumstantial. Mm-hmm. But from a 5-on-5 type of perspective, I think they're going to want to try to contain Edmonton as best they can, focus more on that versus focusing on trying to outscore them.
Paisan, where are you going to be watching this game? And I'm curious, are you even going to be watching this game? Because you're still back in Toronto, and I feel like you're going to be out and about, a man on the town, mixing a water. Why don't you? What's the setup tonight?
Yes, I am. It's an away game. I'm not in Edmonton. I was actually supposed to be there this weekend.
I know. I'm disappointed. Yeah. You have the guest room.
Things. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
But I'll find a watering hole downtown, get some wings, have a couple beverages, watch this game as a civilian for once.
Nice. Well, you enjoy it, my friend. You had double duty here on EST today, and excellent both times, as always. Appreciate it, and we'll catch up with you next week.
Sounds good, buddy. Enjoy the game.
There's David Pagnotta from the fourth period, our Hello Hockey Insider as well. Hey, Nat, so we got this text from Troll, says, Leafs suck right now. Lots of injuries. Their goalies never played the Oilers. This is one of those 5-1 loss games, isn't it? I don't think so.
I mean, I think yesterday the consensus was there's a little bit of concern just because they haven't scored a lot in the last 3 games. They're going to come in angry. They're getting some bodies back and guys that have been pretty good this season in Tavares and Matthew Nyes. So, yeah, the Oilers got to be on their game. Their last 2 games haven't been the best. They've been a little loose, a little sloppy in their own end. They got to sharpen that up. I'm intrigued to see Klingberg in his second game, but I get that there is a little bit of, trepidation heading into this game, Tom. And I was looking at it, though. The Oilers have won the last 2 here at home against Toronto. It's going to be a ruckus crowd. It's a lot of Leafs fans, and, you're going to hear the chants going back and forth, the competing in that. But, I mean, this game for me is a toss-up. I really don't know which way to go because the Oilers have been playing pretty good, coming off a shootout loss. And like I said, the Leafs are a little angry. They haven't really been playing well as of late. So
no, 3 wins in their last 9.
I know a lot of people are throwing out that someone has to fight Reeves. I just don't see it, Tom. It happened so long ago. Apologies have been sent. And I don't think the Oilers have anyone to fight him. I don't think Darnell
Does Darnell have to fight him?
No. And Reeves is a heavyweight, Tom. Like, there's not many guys that can fight him. Why would one of your best defensemen drop the gloves? Like, I think Darnell's over it. Like, I think he's good.
I'm not going to lie to you. Selfishly, I'd like to watch that because I think Darnell can be a heavyweight when he wants to be. Now, I think he's taken himself out of that
I don't know, Tommy. That would scare me.
You don't think so? I think when Darnell wants to be mad, look out.
Yeah, Reeves is just a different beast.
I think Darnell fights anyone. Like, I don't think he backs down from anybody.
No, I'm saying this. I'm not saying Darnell is scared or anything like that. I just think maybe Knobloch's like, hey, buddy, I understand the situation, but you're far too valuable to our team right now.
But that's
all it takes is one bad punch and you're knocked out, or you injure your hand and you're out for a while. So in that sense, I'm like, the Oilers don't need to get into that tonight. Like, Reeves is going to play 5 to 8 minutes, if that. Like, why even bother? Like, just play the game, go out there and win the game.
I love that. That's a very good point. The team is getting set to hit the ice at Rogers Place for warm-up. It will be Stu Skinner for the Oil, and we will see Joseph Woll for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Yeah, I don't think we're going to see those guys fight. Now, if they do and pleasantly surprise everybody, buckle up, get your popcorn.
Yeah,
that would be great.
Because people are throwing Corey Perry, but I don't want the old guy fighting either. Like, he
now that would be a mismatch.
Yes, so
come on.
Don't give Reeves the time of day. You don't need that. Move on.
No.
Move on, people.
All right, 780-218-9999. Get to the nasty chat. It is the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame show. Oilers and Leafs closing out the season series. Edmonton losing in overtime in Toronto back on November 16th. That one 4-3 final. Mitch Marner had the winner. Not a particularly great goal. It was still kind of when the Oilers were starting to figure things out a little bit. They weren't off to a great start. Nowhere near as horrendous as last year. And obviously they have been flying high since about mid-November. I know Reed likes to use November 9th as a reference point. I think that's a pretty good one. Yeah. And they all have been doing really good, right at the top of the league standings. The two best teams going at it in Washington tonight, Winnipeg and Washington. They got the Oilers, who are in third, tied with the Golden Knights and the Hurricanes with 68 points and a chance to hit the 70-point mark and a chance to even up the season series versus the Maple Leafs. We will have Cass joining us shortly. I think he was taking the girls to swimming lessons, and he'll be back to join us as soon as he gets home. And so we'll throw out the question of the night one more time. Nanso, you had this one. People were jumping on it, and I like it. It's not an Oilers question, but people were drawing conclusions, kind of tying it to Edmonton, talking about players that were moved yesterday and why didn't the Oilers go and get this guy and that guy and that guy. The thing that the kicker that gets me is, why would Oiler fans get mad that the Oilers didn't get Drew O'Connor?
Yeah, I don't know. So the question is, are the Vancouver Canucks better after their two moves last night? And then the key piece is there's peace in that locker room right now. At least we assume. At least we assume. Defensively, like David said, they got better. Marcus Pettersson is an upgrade on Vinny Desharnais. Vinny Desharnais gets a nice little fresh start there in Pittsburgh. Wasn't a talk-it guy. That deal didn't go well. It's interesting, though. I saw yesterday, too, Tom, that their July 1st signings, all three are gone. Daniel Sprong, Danton Heinen, and Vinny Desharnais. So, not overall good look for the Vancouver Canucks. They did lose last night, but can they turn their season around? And listen, I get it. They lost a lot. JT Miller on the ice is a different animal. I think here in Edmonton, we should be happy because you don't have to face him. Because he is a game changer, Tom. He gets in your mug. Like, he is a bona fide hockey, just a power forward, man. Like, and the Oilers are licking their chops now knowing that they don't have to face him, potentially.
We do have a quick update as the teams are on the ice for warm-up. Reed Wilkins texting me saying that Mattias Ekholm is not on the ice.
Oh, boy.
Yes.
That's no bueno, Tom.
That's no bueno. Can they persevere? That means you got to get Troy Stetcher back in there.
Oh, man, that's tough, especially against the Toronto Maple Leafs. You need your best defenseman. Really, this is just an illness, hey, Tom?
Well, yeah. I mean, we were talking to him the other day, and I was just the more he spoke, the further away I backed off. Yeah. Like, oh no, please! And he was like this, and we're gonna have a good game tonight. And I had to go. Like I said, I washed my hands after because I'm like, I don't want whatever Mattias has right now. And so it's bad enough. It's gotten worse to the point where no Ekholm tonight for the Edmonton Oilers, battling illness. John Klingberg also was not on the ice yesterday. Klingberg is expected to go tonight. If there's any other things we need to pass along your way, we will do that. Hernan.
Yeah, I'll keep my eye on to see if we get some lines and pairings from the good old arena down there with tons of media down there. Of course, we always appreciate all the media's work down there and them posting the lines so we can and we also, the Oilers send them out, but they haven't sent them out just yet. So, I guess that becomes a big story, Tom. No Mattias Ekholm for the Edmonton Oilers. Obviously an illness. He wasn't on the ice yesterday. He sounded sick on Thursday. He battled through, so he might have just got a little bit worse here as we enter the weekend. So that's a tough for the Edmonton Oilers. Now, that's not an excuse to go out there and lay an egg.
No. Could you tell and notice anything with Ekholm the other night? Like, did you see him fighting it a little bit? He was.
I noticed a few shifts, and you kind of let it go because he's so solid most of the time for the Edmonton Oilers. But yeah, you can tell he was a little bit off. I don't think him and Klingberg looked too bad though, Tom. I'll be honest. I thought they both looked good as a pair. And I think we all said yesterday, Klingberg fine on his first game. I don't think there's anything much to complain about. It was his first game after a long time off there. So we'll see now. Bouchard's going to have to step it up a bit. Nurse just got to continue playing like he has. Don't try to do too much. And then we'll see if Klingberg can add a little bit more tonight, because they're going to need it without their leader on the back end and their best defenseman. Not even close for me, Matthias Ekholm. So, interesting little tidbit here as we approach face-off.
Elliot Friedman putting it out there, confirming no Ekholm tonight for Edmonton. Thanks to Reed for pointing that out for us. Reed on his way or at the rink already, and that's why he's one of the best, and he's part of our team. Mary texting in, Twitter Mary says, it's grade A bullcrap that even though the Oilers have the best players in the world and they're Stanley Cup contenders, that the hockey world revolves around Toronto. That needs to be someone's I got beef pick this week. I like it on the Nielsen show. That's a good one, Twitter Mary. Even Connor McDavid pointed it out yesterday when speaking to the media. And then Troll, talking about Nurse, says the last thing that Darnell Nurse needs to do is get a concussion or something, especially now with Ekholm out tonight due to illness. That whole Reeves Nurse thing definitely falls by the wayside.
Yeah, Matt Hyman says, did Hernan say Timbit? No, I said Tidbit. Tidbit.
Okay?
And we're waiting to get confirmation here for some pairings and lines. So what do you think happens, Tom? Let's look to the future here. What are the pairings? Is it Bouchard?
Bouchard Kulak maybe, or is it
Bouchard Nurse?
Bouchard Nurse. It could be. Everybody gets bumped up and the lefties slide up, and then you go two righties on that third pair. I don't know necessarily.
It's gonna be interesting.
I know. And now all of a sudden you might need Klingberg to play. He did play 16 minutes the other night.
Yeah.
And
just so no one's concerned, it is illness. Some media already, Oilers media is confirming it's an illness, so not an injury or anything like that. So it's just a one gamer probably, as they don't play until Tuesday. So Matthias Ekholm, the Viking, is out, and interesting.
All right.
Interesting. And we're still waiting on Cass here.
Where the hell is Cass? 780-218-9999. Let's get you up to speed on other scores around the National Hockey League. We'll get to some texts as well. If you want to hit us up on the question of the night, it was, did the Vancouver Canucks get better with their trades last night? We want to hear from you. 9 games on the NHL schedule. Boston knocks off New York in JT Miller's return to the Rangers 6-3. The Florida Panthers crush the Chicago Blackhawks 5-1. You got Minnie in Ottawa, the Islanders in Tampa, the Preds visit Pittsburgh. The two best teams in the league go toe-to-toe in Washington between the Jets and Caps. Carolina hosts the LA Kings, and then Detroit is in Calgary at the Saddle Dome to close out the night. 780-218-9999. Hello, Hernan.
We do have lines from the rink.
Oh, fire away. And we have Cass. He's almost ready to go.
All right. Here are the lines. Draisaitl, McDavid, Perry. Arvidsson with RNH and Hyman. Podkolzin with Henrique and Brown. And then your fourth line is Janmark between Kapanen and Skinner. Defensively, this is where it gets interesting.
Yes.
Nurse with Klingberg. Kulak with Bouchard. Stetcher and Amberson, Stuart Skinner gets the start.
So it is Kulak going up with Bouchard, right?
Yes.
Nurse with Klingberg, Stetcher with Emberson. So I'm assuming that third pair of Stetcher and Emberson will see minimal minutes. I'm sure Emberson will get more minutes. Stetcher will be the lowest when it comes to time distributed to him against a pretty good Toronto Maple Leafs club that has only won 3 of its last 9 games. As we welcome in Matt Cassian, our game analyst for Game Changers, brought to you as always by Damon Bunting Real Estate. Damon Bunting, now with The Agency. He's been a consistent top-producing realtor in the greater Edmonton area for over 17 years. He and his team would love to help you find that right home or make the move from your current home. Check him out, DamonBunting.com, or visit his Instagram at Damon Bunting Real Estate. Cast, before we dive into the first bullet point, the fact that the Oilers are going to be without Matthias Ekholm due to illness tonight, and Kulak slides in to play with Bouchard. How does that affect the Oilers tonight?
Yeah, well, it affects you, but it's an opportunity really for Klingberg to maybe play a little bit more, maybe to see what's there. And I know it's just the second game, but maybe a little bit more utilization here to see what's in the tank, to see how fast he can adapt and adjust to a team that's, although they haven't won a ton of games recently, is really a good Toronto Maple Leafs team. Tommy, it forces him to play a few more minutes. I mean, that's a lot of minutes to eat with Ekholm being out, and obviously he's sick enough that it doesn't make sense for him to go, and there seems to be something going through the team here.
Yes.
But I think that's the biggest one for me, is you're going to have to rely a little bit more on Klingberg and see what he's got in the tank here, if those hips are as good as they maybe looked last game.
Right into it against the Toronto Maple Leafs, who all of a sudden get Tavares and Nyes back tonight. All right, point number 1 of Game Changers, Matt Cassian, power versus power.
Yeah, you just read out the lines there, but for the Edmonton Oilers, starting the game off with McDavid, Draisaitl, and Perry, and they're going to see a lot of that Matthews, Marner, Nyes line, which is a really good line. I mean, Austin Matthews, he is, for as much fun as I make of him and of the Toronto Maple Leafs, he is one of the best players in the world.
Yes.
One of the best goal scorers currently in the world. He is a trigger man through and through, can put the puck in the net. Mitch Marner, a really good player too. Now I know Nylander as well, also fantastic, and we'll talk about some of the other guys in a minute. But what's going to be interesting for me, as always, is you have superstar on superstar in Marner and Matthews and McDavid and Draisaitl, those lines fully loaded, both incredibly powerful, both have a heavy percentage of their team's production wrapped up in those guys. It's a fun thing when you have two lines that are this good that are going to see a lot of each other, Tom, but two great lines, two great teams, should be a lot of fun.
All right, that was power versus power, point number 1 of Game Changers with our game analyst, Matt Cassian. Number 2 tonight, Cass, reinforcements.
For the Toronto Maple Leafs, certainly reinforcements with Tavares coming back in and Matthew Nyes sliding back in to the lineup as well. And for the Toronto Maple Leafs, as I said, they've been struggling, and as you said, they've been struggling. 3 wins in the last 9 games, haven't found a way the last 3 games in particular to really find the back of the net, which is, when you look at this lineup, you're kind of going, okay, well, they might be due to try to pop off here, because it's a group that does thrive on scoring goals, and those reinforcements, they help them a ton. I mean, their depth has been, I think they have good depth, but it's been struggling to put the puck in the net. Tavares certainly helps that. Not like he's the Tavares of yesteryear, where he's a major driver, but still a really good player. Helps out tremendously on their depth. And for the Toronto Maple Leafs, with those 2 guys coming back into the lineup, they are a heck of a lot better than they were last game. So look for them to try to have an impact here immediately, and have a little bit of a juice boost with a couple fresh bodies in the lineups for the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Hey, Tavares has almost been a point-a-game guy, 42 points in 44 games, so maybe not the league-leading scorer type of player, top 10 scorer, but he's still having a decent impact offensively. So you're right, that is a good reinforcement indeed, coming back into the fold for the Leafs tonight. Point number 1 was power versus power. Point number 2, reinforcements. Point number 3 on Game Changers with our game analyst, Matt Cassian. Game Changers presented by Damon Bunting Real Estate. Damon Bunting now with the agency. Too much media, Cass.
I loved that quote. That along with Toronto comes the media circus, and it's true. I mean, it's maybe, arguably, probably the biggest hockey market in the world. Now, if we want to call it the best, whatever, but it's a big city, lots of fans, lots of media. The hockey media world revolves around the Toronto Maple Leafs, and that does bring a little bit of a buzz to a game. And even Toronto Maple Leafs fans, say what you want about them, they travel well also. There will be a lot of blue jerseys for the Leafs in the stands tonight. They kind of come out of the woodwork. There's a lot of people that cheer for the Oilers regularly, but then cheer for the Maple Leafs when they're in town, and I understand it. I love it. I think it's great, and for the players, it does just bring a little bit of a it brings something extra to the game. It really does. Both playing in Toronto and playing at home when you know that they're going to have fans in your own rink, it just adds to the game a little bit. It adds to that feel a little bit. And, the players are aware of it. Like, you really are. And that's why we get comments like, oh, there's too much media. And I know it's a tongue-in-cheek comment that was made, but the reality is, becomes a little bit more of a circus. It becomes a little bit more of a spectacle. And, at the end of the day, for the Edmonton Oilers, you still have a job to do. And your job is to ignore the extra spectacle, know that you're playing against a very good Maple Leaf team, even if they've been struggling a little bit here, still a really good, really dangerous team, and just focus on the little things. Now, you have a little bit more work cut out for you with Ekholm out of the lineup, going up against a team, again, that last 3 games struggled offensively, but they have the ability to flip that switch at any time. It would be unreasonable to assume that, they haven't scored that many goals, they're not going to score goals again tonight. Like, they are going to press and push. And for the Edmonton Oilers, you still have to, at the end of the day, worry about yourself, worry about your process. You can't have some of those mistakes and turnovers we saw last game, particularly in the first period, where you're giving up a little bit too much in your own zone. Can't have that. This is not a group you can let them feel the flow offensively, because they will run away from you if you do let them have that feeling, especially those top guns. I mean, you let Matthews be in the game early, start generating chances early, you could be in for a long night. So just shut off the circus a little bit. Don't pay attention to the extracurriculars that have had to have gone on the last day as you're prepping for this game and dealing with the media, and just go out there and do your job, Tommy.
Cass, we have 2 minutes left in the show. A couple things really quickly, especially without Matthias Ekholm tonight. Darnell Nurse and Ryan Reeves, we don't see them lock horns probably, right? And then the other thing,
no.
Troll says, I love Kulak, but pairing him with Bouchard. Woof.
Well, yeah, I disagree with that, Woof. Like, Kulak, we have seen be able to step into big moments and play really well. I mean, he is at his core, he's a gamer, right? Like, when the games are big, Kulak plays better. And this is a moment where it's a big game. Again, a lot of hubbub surrounding it, and putting him with Evan Bouchard is like, well, Kulak, I think, knows enough, has played enough, and played in enough big games where it's not just going to be, he's not going to play willy-nilly with Bouchard. Like, I would anticipate he's going to step up and have a night. So I think that Woof is premature. I don't think it's earned or deserved for Kulak. As I said, when the games have gotten big, Kulak at times has been Edmonton's best defenseman. So, I can't remember what the first comment was, because I just started thinking about that second one. But I definitely don't feel that going into it. Nurse and Reeves. Yeah, no, you're not going to see. Edmonton's concerned about winning this game, wanting to that first place marker in the division, and Toronto, same thing for them in their division. So I understand there could be some feelings there still, and it's always possible emotions boil over. Now, it probably would take something happening, a little bit of a dirty hit or later hit or something like that. But I don't imagine, without any kind of a spark to it, that we see retribution.
Edmonton 3-1-1 on this 6-game homestand as it closes out, looking to go 4-1-1, which would be excellent, beginning the month of February versus the Toronto Maple Leafs. Nanso, anything for Cass?
Cass, your boy Cece heading to a playoff team. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I fired him a note. I was like, back in the hunt, and he just sent me a smiley face back. Hey, I think that's and my old teammate Granlund too, who's also a fantastic individual in that goes that direction. With Heiskanen out, the Dallas Stars maybe not quite as dangerous, and who knows how long he's out. With that being said, they just got more depth. Like, that is a good pickup. It wasn't a cheap pickup for 2 rental players. Now, maybe the hope is for Cece that they can re-sign him and have him stay there. But yeah, I mean, that's a good pickup for the Dallas Stars. Very solid pickup. I know people, and maybe rightfully so, crap on me because I'm completely biased with Cody. But
at least you don't hide it.
I don't hide it. No, he's my old teammate and friend, so I don't hide that at all. But I think a very solid pickup for the Dallas Stars makes them just a deeper team and a more dangerous team. And I don't think, quite played up to their potential this year. They're a team that I think is very, very good, and they did just get a little bit better and a little bit deeper.
Hey, I'll say this about Cody Ceci. There have been people, fans of the Oilers, who have said very recently, boy, it would be nice to have Cody Ceci back on that blue line. And some even asking if the Oilers take a run at him for a trade. Dallas gets the jump. Too late. Yep. Exactly. Cass, great stuff as always, my friend. Enjoy the game, and we'll catch up with you on the postgame show.
Thanks, Tommy. We'll talk to you guys later.
There's our game analyst, Matt Cassian, with Game Changers, brought to you as always by Damon Bunting Real Estate. Damon Bunting, now with the agency. All right. That's going to do it for the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame show. The Maple Leafs and the Oil closing out the season series. Yes, 5 o'clock start to make it super convenient for all of those in Leafland or whatever you call it. I'll take the earlier game. Mix in a water if you're going or if you're enjoying tonight. Stay warm out there, and we'll catch up with you on the GCL Diesel Oil Stream post-game show. Myself and Hernan, along with Cass, will be back. Looking forward to it. Enjoy the game, everyone. See you later.